Howdy everyone, it's me once again, the one and only Killer Rodan. And today, as you can see, I'm still continuing my Disney movie marathon where I've been talking about the movies, obviously TV shows, merchandising, you name it. If it's related to Disney in any kind of shape or form, I've been talking about it. Even though they technically didn't make this, but she did appear in some of the merchandising and movies or whatever. So I guess close enough? Yeah, whatever. So okay, ugh. So Barbie in Princess Power. So yeah, we're going for a superhero approach this time around. Anyway, s- this superhero feature was released onto DVD on March 4th of 2005, and it made its TV premiere appearance on Nickelodeon on May 23rd of the same year. So yes, but the thing is that I have the combo pack with this movie. Yes, he has two movies actually. So okay, just open this up real quick. Alright, then it's on Blu-ray. Oh, definitely. So okay, it has one movie I've already discussed a while back, and the other one's the Blu-ray I want to talk about, of course. Alright, it even says really it's a combo pack. Sure, it's gonna have two movies, two different movies. So okay, sure, why not? I guess at this point. But alright, just might as well get it, I suppose. But that's the thing though. That means I would have three copies of the other movie already. Oh well. I'll keep it in my collection anyway. If one of them breaks, I guess I have a spare somewhere. Anywho, the primary thing I want to focus here is, of course, as you can guess yourself, is the comic book superhero heroine, I guess in this case. I mean, yeah, it's just been this kind of character as well. Women have to bring justice to the world and whatnot somehow. Yeah, okay, this concept alone isn't particularly new by any means. So okay, this has been around for quite some time. If it's even in anime, crying out loud. So yeah, I guess Mattel wanted to do their own version of comic books, superhero kind of this. And to my knowledge, there isn't a comic book based on this specifically. So there's that. All right, I mean, might as well, I guess, whatever. By the way, folks, one of the characters in the film refers the Barbie as Kara, which, yes, in itself is supposed to be a reference to Supergirl, by the way. So there's a little nudge, nudge, wink, wink towards that. So a little smart trivia for you. That's all. That's what I want to say. Eh. Oh, come on, Rogue Agent Killer Watan. Are you telling me I can't fish? I can't go fishing? That's a manly thing. Christ, you again. You can do that if you want. I know it's considered a manly thing. Sure. I don't care. Oh, what? You trying to say I can't go bowling either? I mean, really? Eh, Oh my god, we discussed that already. In another video, you can go bowling if you want. Why do I care? Christ, these people, they give me such a headache. Anywho, I was trying to do here. As always, let's talk about the plot, shall we? So here we go. In this film, we can see Barbie. She's supposed to be living as a princess, like she had done in many other movies, but this one is more of a episodic type of storytelling. So it's again a standalone type of story. So of course, yes, she's feeling pressure from her parents, even though despite the fact that she has good intent, she just wants to help out. That's it. She wants to help out, and her and her friends they create these inventions as a way to help out with people to do things such as gardening and whatnot, stuff like that, in that nature. But her parents, of course, view that as too dangerous for her, and that's something they cannot do. Well, at least she can't do anyway, because it has to be safe and productive in some ways, safe and productive at the same time. It can't be too dangerous for her because, I mean, for one, yes, they need to keep up a public image, of course, quite clearly, but they do wonder about her safety. I guess, to some extent, they're overly strict in that regard. Of course, this also disappoints her friends as well because they put so much effort into this thing that we're doing, but only to have it crash down. So it just seems like what they're trying to do may never come to light. Anyway, of course, fast forward a little bit, the thing we all want to just talk about is the superhero stuff. So yes, in this one, Barbie is Kira, and she's supposed to be this modern day princess with an everyday life. Well, at least for the warrior, with the warrior anyway. However, she found a way to gather her abilities by mistake because of this magical butterfly. She soon discovers she has an amazing powers. Of course, that will allow her to transform into this alter ego, Super Sparkle, who's secrets, crime fighting alter ego, like I was saying, who can fly and has really a lot of strength. So, okay, she finds out that maybe this could be a good way to, of course, fix all the problems. But no, no, of course not. Of course not. This just complicates even further because there's two other people that want to fight her. There's other characters that do want to, of course, do their thing because they feel like she's in the way. So of course this just complicates things. Oh, the irony of it. Anyway, by the way, there's a line of dialogue in the movie where that says that truth, justice, and the Windermere way. This, of course, is a reference to the line of truth, justice, and the American way, which, of course, was said by truth, justice, and American way, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. Of course, they're making a reference to a TV show, of course, so that's definitely the thing. I mean, yes, it was said in the movie as well, sure, but you get the idea here. They're trying to make a little nudge, nudge, wink, wink towards this kind of a thing. So right now, I don't see why not. Sure, I do think that it could be a good way to pay tribute to this kind of stuff. I mean, might as well, I guess. I reckon. One of her friends say that aren't superheroes or superheroes usually born in different planets? Of course, little hinty hint hint. Like seriously, Montel, if you really wanted to do a superhero adaptation kind of thing for DC, maybe should have. You probably would have done a better job than these two because, well, if you don't remember the whole fiasco with what happened with Batgirl, which was eventually canceled, at least on the bright side, you saw this movie through and actually finished it. So that's something. There's a scene where she actually saves a construction site worker, and he asks, "You got me? Okay, then who got you?" Or something lines of that. And of course, that's a reference to, of course, when Superman in the original movie actually captured Lois and pretty much initially just actually do the same exact thing. So, okay, sure. And then not only that, there's one scene where the superheroine character was trying to stop lava, and she assumed that she was going to use ice breath. Yeah, we'll see where this is going. So of course, it's going to be a reference to the Kryptonians, of course, because they have that ability. So there's that. Oh yeah, I was able to catch these references throughout the entire thing. So yeah, I know I may know a thing or two about when it comes to DC Comics, but sure. Yeah, let me guess. If Zack Snyder who controlled this project, he would probably have made it super depressing. Hey, just because he works for Batman over here doesn't mean he's gonna work for literally every single character from DC. Christ almighty. I mean, okay, this video's not really about him. I just thought I'd just throw that out there for a quick moment there, but anyway. Hey, horseback riding on horseback is pretty manly. Are you trying to take that away from me? Since when? Since when I was trying to do that? Just because I'm reviewing Barbie? Are you kidding me? Uh, swimming is a manly sport, right? You tell me I can't swim at all in the competitions? Christ, you look out of shape. How can you swim? And besides, I don't care. Christ almighty. What was I talking about? Oh, yeah. The superhero stuff and whatnot. Superhero and comic book stuff and whatnot. So here we are. All right. Of course, have to talk about the uniforms. When it comes to uniforms, of course, a lot of people want to talk about that kind of thing when it comes to superhero and stuff. Of course, that's like the most obvious thing people like to talk about and whatnot. So I guess I'll just do the same thing. So anyway, the outfits for these characters, for the superhero type of stuff, I thought they looked nice. I do like how they look. They look very girlish, very feminine, of course. And that's, I guess you can say, is a nice touch in the grand scheme of things, and is a nice color. And it's not like so in your face or anything, but it's still nicely put together in the grand scheme of things, of course. Which I do think is a nice thing, quite obviously. That's nothing too shabby in what they were trying to aim for. And I did like the over designs for Barbie herself, or Kara, I should say. Very feminine outfit, very feminine coloring and whatnot. And I did like the way it looks overall when it comes to that kind of a thing. I did appreciate that, of course. And yes, it's a nice touch in the grand scheme of things. And of course, she wants to do the right thing. Of course, like you might expect when it comes to a superheroine type characters. And yes, of course, that's fine. Obviously, there's nothing inherently wrong with that. To make the character want to do the right thing, I want to help people. And no matter who they are, the people must be helped. And yes, of course, that's what you do as a superheroine anyway. That's kind of your thing. You think about it. Of course, want to have, of course, identity be a secret, but of course, it goes along with it as well. The outfits in here, like I was saying, are really nice. I did like the way they looked, the grand scheme of things. And I mean, it's creative in its own little way, I suppose. So I can't really complain too much when they were trying to do their outfits and whatnot. So I did like the way it looks as a whole. It's not too shabby. I mean, it's okay, yes, it's pretty simplistic. Of course, the outfits are fairly simplistic, but it's not too like overly simple and at the same time. But it still has some effort and creativity in what they were trying to aim for. Quite obviously, I did like that. There's at least still some effort being done here with the overall designs. Of course, I like that. Anyway, so that is a nice touch in the grand scheme of things. Well, okay. Betting casinos is, man, you trying to take that away from me? Huh? You can bet in slot machines all you want. I don't care. Go ahead. What are you bothering me for? Just be responsible. Hey, what about car racing? I got bet on car racing. That's manly. You trying to take that away? Oh God, just be responsible. I do not care. Oh, Christ, that individual has some issues to work. Anyway, whatever. Keep distracting me here. Christ. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, the whole suit and everything. So okay, when one of her friends, okay, both of her friends really asked her if she was bitten by a mutant spider, a mutated spider that's radioactive. Yes, this in itself, as you can guess, was a reference to Spider-Man, how he was able to receive this this kind of superpowers. Another sexture, another reference, hint, 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 to Spider-Man. We all know when Spider-Man he does a whole hand thing with his fingers, and he's trying to shoot out web out of his fingers. And yes, she actually does that in the movie, and not the web part. I mean, she attempts to shoot web out of her fingers. So that's like a little reference. Okay, two references to Spider-Man within the same movie. So yeah, those some Marvel references and some DC references in the same movie. So there you go. They don't say the actual name of the characters, but you know that's in there. I guess you can say. So I thought that was a nice little touch that would actually have that in there. These are some of the most popular characters in cinema, so of course you would automatically pick that up anyway. So I do think that's a nice little touch, and whatnot, like a little Easter egg kind of a thing. And sure, you might as well, I guess. Why not? All right. Of course, I had to bring up this in terms of animation. The animation here was actually quite good. Yes, despite the fact that this is a direct to video animation type of thing. The animation here is actually quite good, really. So I can't get mad at the movie for that. So it's actually improving over the years. Yes, this was all the way back in 2015, and it still looks pretty fluent. The colors are very vibrant. Yeah, speaking of colors, they're vibrant and it's very smooth. The art design itself is actually quite detailed, though simplistic, but it's enough to give you an impression of what's going on here. So that's something. Oh boy, just give you a sense of how far this came from. If you really want to go back where these franchise started with the first direct-to-video animation. So, yes, we have to be honest. It looks a little maybe janky in comparison, and yeah, he goes into whole this old weird valley of this old traditional animation from way back when. Yes, I know the animation from the early 2000s looks, or maybe early 2000s and late 1990s looks a little weird, like this whole uncanny valley. I guess that's the way you put it. This uncanny valley of animation from the late 1990s and early 2000s. The animation then looks a little, yeah, it's something alright. So there's that, I guess. And oh, come on, Rogue Eddie Kilowatt Dad. Are you trying to say that I can't go hitchhiking? Is that what it is? Ah, we talked about this already. Go ahead. I don't care. God, leave me be. Oh, oh, what? I can't ask a girl out and be polite. You trying to take that away from me? Wait, what? Okay, you're just confusing me. What? You can't be. I'm not saying you can't be a gentleman. Anyway, whatever. Swear to God. Anyway, like I was saying, folks, yes, the animation itself has improved over the years, and this definitely shows. This, of course, is not really the fault of Mattel. It's just that at the time, of course, the animation, the technology at the time was still very limited, of course, and whatnot. I mean, yes, we have movies like Toy Story, the first one, that really changed a lot of stuff, but it still has limitations. Just because Pixar was able to do it with their Toy Story films, that doesn't mean that very technology was able to be reached with everyone else. It was like a slow progress. I guess you would say it was a very slow progress for a lot of people. So with Mattel, they definitely did a decent job over the years, so that counts for something, I suppose. But there's definitely an improvement, of course. I know a lot of the fans of this doll would probably try to stick with the early 2000s, really, animations because of nostalgia. Oh yeah, there's that nasty word I don't like. Nostalgia. A lot of the fan base, of course, want to stick with the original films and act like as if that they're the single greatest thing of all time. But come on, give me a break. And I mean, that's not to take a jab at the original Barbie films. Of course, they have their charm, they have their place in animation history. I'll give them that. But I'm just saying, I'm not saying that those films don't have their place. They do. They certainly do because in a lot of ways they paved the way for the better animated stuff, I guess. I mean, story wise, I mean, of course, which one's better? That's up to debate. Of course, you got better in some ways and maybe worse in some ways. It just depends on which animated film. If you want to review them individually, I'm not going to say one era is better than the other. I'm not saying that, but maybe to some extent I am because I'm kind of more keen on the more later films with the Barbie. I'm more keen on with the later stuff than the stuff that came out during the early years. And no, that's not really a popular opinion because, like I was saying, I know a lot of people out there prefer the earlier stuff, but I'm like the other way around. I'm more in came with the more newer stuff because they have what you call a shared universe. But except for this one, of course, the superhero one is it goes back to the whole thing with this solo episodic storytelling, which yes could work. I'm not. Don't get me wrong. These single standalone storytelling episodic type of thing can potentially work. It just depends on what you're trying to do. That's what I'm getting at. It just depends on what you're trying to aim for in the grand scheme of things. It could work. It just depends on how it's done, the execution. The premise has to work and the execution as well. I mean, a lot of people may argue that you're going to have a ridiculous premise, but as long as the execution is good, it's fine. But in my honest, humble opinion, you need both. You need the good premise and good execution. That's just me, though. Again, not really a popular opinion, but whatever. Of course, sometimes when it comes to having these interconnected storylines, that could work, I guess you would say, but at which point do you think it might be too much? I don't know. So there's that, I guess. I mean, I think that could be a good thing or bad. It depends on what the story is, really. Okay, maybe then, even then, that's going to be up for debate, really. Like, for example, let me see here. Right off the top of my head, hey, maybe this character could have an entire comic book line for himself to explain his backstory. Or maybe this one never have a storyline for himself. Or maybe then also this droid will have a backstory and like an entire comic book line as well. And then not only that, and then this one as well get a backstory as well. And then not only that, maybe his friends as well. And then along maybe each individual character here you see right here, we also get an entire comic book line. And yes, I know Star Wars already has an expansive universe already, but even like that, at which point do you think is enough? Not literally every single background character or friend or relative needs to have like their own solo movie or shows. Like, okay, at what point do you have to stop? Really? I mean, I know DC Comics might be guilty of this to some extent, of course, maybe to some degree. Okay, I will say that, sure. Even Marvel, maybe some of us might be guilty of this as well, because they have the expansive universes as well when you think about it. And there are some stories that are standalone that were made by DC and Marvel as well. They have done that, and those spin hypothetical what if situation for Star Wars on top of that as well. I'm just saying. Just pointing that out there, folks. So anyway, oh come on, are you trying to tell me I can't fix cars? I cannot be a mechanic? That's manly. I mean, you can if you want. That's a good way to make a job. But whatever. Christ. Okay, what? I can't do some fencing. Now fencing is a manly thing, right? You trying to take that away from me? Oh my god, I don't care. Just go away, go get a job or something. I don't know. Assume you don't have a job. Spend too much time here. Anyway, folks, but okay, I kind of got off track. I know that, but when it comes to the superhero stuff, I didn't mind if Barbie is a superhero in here. I didn't mind that really. It doesn't bother me. And yes, I know there's a whole attitude that we need more female superhero characters anyway. And okay, so here's your chance, I guess. I would say support this official release here. I mean, I got my copy used, by the way, but I did hear the complaints that when it comes to the superhero genre, the comic book stuff, a lot of people felt that there should be more female leads as the main character, which is fine, I guess. You want to have more representation when it comes to women as the main characters because they can be as tough and as men. I mean, yes, I know. You go into the argument where how, technically speaking, men can be stronger because of the bone density, the muscle, and all that. And it's easier for a man to, of course, gain more muscle in their body than compared to a woman. Yes, there's the whole bit with that, of course. That's just biology. It's not sexist. It's just biology. It's not that a woman can't do it because they can. It could, it would just take more of an effort to do that kind of a thing than compared to what a man would do, of course. That's just biology. And but I mean, of course, since this is supposed to be like a superhero thing or superhero thing, I mean, maybe it could take some liberties, I guess. I'm just saying, just putting that out there. That's not a sexist statement. That's how biology is and whatnot. Anyway, it's just I know that's like a whole shebang right there. But when it comes to like whole the representation of when it comes to women being in female superhero comic book cinema, yes, too few of them. Just like way too few when it comes to female superhero leads. Like, yes, I would agree. Then there's way too few, and the vast majority of these are pretty bad. Yes, I would agree. The most of these type of stuff are pretty awful, unfortunately, and that is the case for most of these types of movies. I mean, yes, I do realize this is a direct-to-video movie, and there's only so much you can do, really, budget-wise. I mean, when it comes to gathering resources to make your movie, that's gonna be difficult. I mean, making a movie is already complicated as it is. Even if it's what do you call it, like a triple A movie, like a triple A game, but a triple. Even want to do a more mainstream movie, there's already a lot of complications with that alone. But of course, when you trying to make a direct-to-video movie, that's gonna be quite troublesome as well when you think about it. Unfortunately, and that's the case here. It can be quite complicated to get all this stuff put together. Yes, I do realize that the first Wonder Woman film and then the sequel that she was in, and of course, let's not forget about the films that she had a cameo in. In some respects, I mean, okay, some people will say that this did help, but there's still a lot to be desired here. To have female representation in either animation or live action, or maybe a combination of the two, maybe. Even when it comes to this kind of genre, okay, and yes, let's not forget about the fact that within comics, yes, there's like a whole plethora of female characters that Marvel had created, But when it comes to the live action stuff, it's just very, very, very little. I mean, yes, also of course characters like Harley Quinn, whom eventually had her own comic book line, even though at first she really didn't. And then in the recent iterations of the character, she was more of an anti-hero, even though she started off as a villain. Of course, there's that. Like, I mean, okay, that counts for something, I suppose. But like I was saying, there's still, for a lot of people's minds, there's still a lack of this type of stuff being in the mainstream media. But I just kind of feel like this movie here is kind of like could be some effort, I guess. Yes, I know it's a direct-to-video kind of a thing, but still, I'm still counts for something. What I find kind of weird is that I stumbled across this movie myself. Really, no one told me about this movie. No one mentioned this movie to me. I just stumbled across it just because on my own. Because I was just looking for Barbie stuff to watch, to review and whatnot. That's like the whole goal anyway, to try to review as many stuff as I can in regards of Barbie. So okay, so I ultimately came across this myself, really, at the end of the day. So there's that. That's the thing though. And yes, I bought it on Blu-ray used, but yes, of course, it's in HD quality when it comes to the picture quality. The sound quality isn't too bad, quite obviously, so that's good. And when it comes to the behind some feature stuff, there's like a music video and whatnot, so there's not a whole lot really. The packaging, it wasn't too big. At least I got an extra movie, I suppose. But point being, I just wish that people were trying to support this kind of a thing. People keep saying that there should be more female leads in movies. There should be more female leads in comic books, in the movie comic books anyway. But they don't. These are the same people that don't go out and support this kind of a thing, which I find kind of weird. You want this to happen, yet a lot of people don't go out and support it, which I find really weird. And again, I didn't even know this movie existed. I mean, that's not established as a movie, of course not. I didn't, wasn't even sure that it even existed. I did not know that this was even a thing. It just came across because just trying to do some research. That's it. So I stumbled across myself because nobody told me about it. Literally, no one has told me about this. I didn't see no trailers. I didn't see nobody talk about it. I didn't see nobody mention it in a podcast or what have you. I didn't see it in a forum. No, I didn't. Literally didn't look at. This was not looked up anywhere. Not YouTube. Not Daily Motion. Literally zip zilch. Not in. Not even TikTok or what have you. Not even Tumblr. No, I didn't find this anywhere. Because I didn't look for it anywhere. Real. Not really. Up until after the fact. So there you go. I guess. So yes, I just thought I'd just make that clear in some ways, folks. I don't be thinking I looked it up myself. I really didn't. And that's the thing though. And that's definitely the thing when it comes to these kinds of stuff. I just want to mention this because so coming across this was just all by mistake. It was completely by mistake. It was not I didn't have the intention to look for this kind of thing at all. At least something this specifically anyway, because like I mentioned this before quite a few times. When it comes to the comic book genre of film, it's not really my thing. It's not really my thing at all when it comes to comic books because I never got the this kind of as to why a lot of people like comic book stuff. I mean, to each their own. So it just made it less likely for me to search something like this because it was not really my this kind of genre of film is not really my cup of tea anyway. I don't know. Maybe just me, I guess. Maybe it's just me that I just don't care for this much with this type of movies. Yet I keep coming back to it. I keep coming back to it over and over again. Just Christ Almighty. But I guess I just make the most out of this, of course. And yes, of course, getting women into key media roles has always been a challenge. It has always been an uphill battle, sure. You just only here and there that they have been people have been seeing female characters in movies where women are the main characters. I'm not talking about like a side character, but I actually have them be fleshed out characters at that. Movies where the women have their own identity away from the male characters and they can support each other in their own way and actually have representative friendship. And you can see that in this movie. And Barbie and her friends, what they're like the best of friends. Of course, they want to look out for each other. They want to help each other like friends should. Of course, having a female companionship and when they want to support each other, of course, you can see the women wanting to help each other out, quite obviously, and that's fine, of course. And of course, there's some misconception when it comes to these kinds of movies. A lot of people seem to think that it's anti-man, it's anti-male. That's not the case, really. I mean, in some comic books, in some stories, it could be written that way. Of course, there are some female characters that do hate men. I mean, that does happen. Don't get me wrong. That does happen on occasion here and there. Sure, I will. I will admit that that does happen. But that's the thing, though. That doesn't mean female representation is going to mean that every single time, of course. And that's the thing, though. And yes, when it comes to female characters, you can make them flawed. And that's the thing, folks. Barbie, or say Kara is not meant to be perfect. Kara is not meant to be this all perfect being. Kara might be super strong. Yes, she might be really powerful. Yes, she might be really, really strong. Sure, she has all these kinds of abilities and whatnot. But at the end of the day, of course, she has to adapt to her new life. This new life for her is totally new. She never had this ever before, so it seems like it's crazy. Like, how can someone get used to this? Of course. But anyway, point being is that she's flawed. Kira is flawed despite being a superheroine, of course. And yes, when it comes to these types of movies, of course, it's always good to have a sidekick. I mean, yes, obviously, it's pretty stereotypical to have a sidekick when it comes to these types of movies. I mean, it's not all the time. It's not always like that, but you can always tell there's always somebody that's going to assist the superheroine or superhero character, of course, in one way or another. Kind of like we might see, like how Alfred might help Batman, or maybe Supergirl might help Superman, stuff like that. And of course, we may have characters like that, of course, in comics and whatnot. This kind of thing can actually continue. We see this kind of partnership in this movie as well. This kind of partnership it does get expressed in this film, of course. And and that's the thing, though. You could hold yourself accountable, of course. Like if you made a mistake, you could confess that you made a mistake, of course. That's part of growing up, by the way. That's part of growing up. You should hold yourself accountable, of course, obviously. And yes, obviously, those kind of few of these type movies, it could go wrong, really. But it's just like I said, it's really depressing to think that these kind of movies could be made bad. I mean, there's a lot of bad female movies, unfortunately. There's plenty. I do think that there's more bad superhero female lead comic movies than good feminine character movies, of course. Unfortunately, there's more bad than good, sadly. And and those that are halfway decent, unfortunately, gets overlooked. Of course, that's the thing, though. Maybe that's my gripe here. I guess it gets overlooked, unfortunately. And that's definitely the thing, though. You take into account when this comes out, this kind of a thing. The number of female lead superhero movies is still very low. It and of course, you take into account the numbers of it, of course. And I mean, yes, that's the thing. Unfortunately, it's still a thing to this very day. Even if there's been making more female lead movies in this day and age, it's still very low in comparison to the male lead counterparts. And yes, that's something you have to think about in the grand scheme of things. Unfortunately, I mean, ultimately, what really matters is story. Yes, we have to have a good story. First and foremost, we do have to have a great story. Which, yes, I'll admit, you shouldn't be just focused on the gender. Of course, that shouldn't be the only primarily focus when it comes to this kind of thing. That I will admit, it's not, that shouldn't be the only thing that you should be focusing on. Like, I think that's kind of the mistake a lot of people would do. Or it's just like I feel like a lot of people just make that mistake. Really, just focus on the gender, and that's it. Really, that's kind of sad when you think about it. You shouldn't only fix on the they have of I guess transfix on this. Of course, you should of course tell a good story. You should tell a grand story at the end of the day because that's what matters really when you think about it. I would think so. Of course, at the end of the day. And you do have to consider this kind of stuff when it comes to it. That maybe it depends on the writers. That maybe it depends on who's doing directing, and of course it depends on the execution. Like I was saying earlier, folks, and it just depends really when you think about it. It's just goes to show you still need a long way to go when it comes to equality and whatnot. And yes, Barbie herself is supposed to be looked upon as a role model anyway, and I can kind of see why they want to do this kind of thing where where she's the superheroine, I should say, and she'd be the main character when it comes to this kind of a thing. And I can see why they wanted to do. When I say they, I mean Montel, of course. And of course, I can see why they want to do this kind of a thing. It makes sense in the grand scheme of things as to why they want to do this. I mean, sure. But yes, of course, I just feel like I have to talk about this because I've seen this recently, and I just want to discuss it and just get out the way in some ways because I still want to do some Disney stuff. And like I said before, Disney didn't technically make this movie, but the character Barbie had been in some of the stuff in one way, shape, or another, one in one way or another. So I just thought that's good enough reason to actually do this, of course. But that's the thing though. I just thought things can get pretty wild in their own way. Things can be pretty crazy as a result. I mean, yeah, it's going to have a positive message in these movies, and that's the thing. These movies tend to have messages anyway. I mean, yes, they tend to be more on the more simpler side, sure, but that in itself doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing. And yes, of course, there's an adventure to be had here, quite obviously. And yes, we're going to see the carriage wearing outfits, of course. Want to go shopping? Yeah, that's there. Of course. I mean, yes, Barbie herself has been in so many Barbie princess movies. Like, there's so many princess movies that she's been in. I mean, okay, a lot of these princess movies that she has starred in are not connected. Maybe a few or more, but the vast majority of these princess themed movies that she was in are not connected. A good chunk of these are these episodic storytelling type of movies like this, for example. I mean, yes, like I just said, there are some exceptions to that. Some of them are connected. Okay, maybe I should say a few. Yes, a few of them are just connected, while the vast majority aren't. But instead of just trying to make this be one of these one of the run up the mill Princess Barbie movies, I guess they're trying to give it their own twist to it, and that twist is trying to give it the idea that she's a superhero and princess. She's a princess and a superhero type of thing. So they just combined the two here. And that's the thing, though, when you think about it, the Marvel company had teamed up with Disney. So both the Disney company and Marvel have produced so many superhero comic book inspired TV shows and movies over the years. So there's that. And and that's the thing though. Disney has made a lot of movies regarding princesses anyway, when you think about it. So there's that. Of course, yes, obviously Barbie, aka Kyra. Yes, she has a lot of power. She has plenty of power in her abilities. She's very strong, of course. But in the film, you can see she never abuses this. She never abuses her power whatsoever. And she never goes out trying to take over a city or take over the town. She uses her power as a way to help society, as a way to help the place she's in. I mean, of course, she has her responsibilities as a princess. Of course, having responsibilities as a princess is already complicated enough, and being a superheroine complicates even further. So she's having these two lives that she has to take care of, which of course is not going to be easy, quite obviously. So yeah, having these two things going on is not going to be easy, of course. And then yes, of course, having it serves this a very definite purpose, and that's fine. Barbie herself, I guess in this case, Kara, is effective. She's strong in her own way. She can be brave, and yes, obviously, she can be resourceful in a lot of ways and very comfortable with her power in the story. Her two best friends, of course, obviously are competent in their abilities as well of science and technology. Her two best friends, they know a lot about science and technology, and they're very competent, not in a cocky way, but they are competent in their abilities. They're fully at ease with the physical tasks at hand, and they know math. I guess you would say they're very good with math and numbers and all that. So that's definitely a good thing there, folks. So her best friends are also women, but they never argue with anybody, with each other. I mean, just because the women does not mean they're gonna be arguing with everybody and among themselves. Of course, that's more of a stereotype, really, when you think about, oh, just because you're a woman, they're gonna be all catty and everything. That's something I brought up in one of my previous reviews a while ago, and I'm glad that they continued that to be a thing in this movie. And if they do argue with each other, it's not because the women, no, it's because they have some kind of a disagreement. Yeah, I mean, you can have female characters disagree with each other, but not make it about being about the gender. But anyway, like I was saying, Kyra, she's confident, she's brave, and same thing with her two friends. Her two friends are they're really good in their talents, of course. And these kinds of traits are very good, of course, in a way. All in all these traits are valuable for Barbie fans, I would say, that could be recognized as a liable thing for, I guess, for people to look up to, of course. There's still a lot of action, of course. That comes with the territory. There's going to be lots of action and peril, of course. That's to be expected when it comes to these types of movies. Of course, that's going to happen. Of course, there'll be some fighting. There's going to be some peril, some stuff they got to take care of. Obviously, that's to be expected when it comes to these types of movies. So yes, of course, you can express that here. This is no different. When it comes to superhero, comic book, superhero and type of stuff, of course there's gonna be fighting. Of course there's gonna be peril. Of course that's gonna happen. There's gonna be some crazy stuff going on. That's to be expected. When you think about it, of course, that's in this movie, definitely. Oh yeah, I would definitely admit that, quite obviously. Anyway, folks, let me just wrap things up. I know this has gone for quite some time, and I do appreciate anybody for watching. Quite obviously, I do appreciate anyone for watching, of course. So yeah. So anyway, I do like to talk about these types of movies when it comes to this type of thing, of course. And I mean, I know when it comes to reviewing Barbie movies, it's really sporadic, and I I'm aware of that. It's pretty random, really, when it comes to this type of stuff. Is really random. Ultimately, just it just gets sometimes may take a while to get to these types of movies. I'm aware of that. So it's well, I'll get to these type of stuff sooner or later. I will get to it eventually. Of course, just trying to make more of an effort to talk about this kind of a thing. Of course. So anyway, there's that. Just rambling on a little bit there, folks. So anyway, I'll give this film an overall rating of a 7.010. It gets a 7.010 for me. So of course, as always, thanks for watching and take care. Until next time. See ya. Oh yeah. Later.